We need to have a very honest, very uncomfortable conversation about the reality of growing up in the modern world. If you are in your 20s or 30s right now, there is a very specific, heavy feeling that you carry with you every single day. It is a feeling that you are running as fast as you possibly can on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, yet somehow, you are constantly falling further and further behind. You look at your bank account, you look at the housing market, you look at the cost of basic groceries, and you feel a quiet, suffocating sense of panic. And whenever you try to express this panic, society gaslights you. You are told that you are just lazy. You are told that you buy too much coffee, that you spend too much time on your phone, and that if you just worked a little harder, sacrificed a little more, and stopped complaining, you would have the house, the car, and the perfect white picket fence life that your parents had. But the math does not lie. The reason you feel like the game is rigged against you is because it absolutely is. Today, we are going to break down the exact reasons why the modern economy is fundamentally designed to not support young people, and why you are not crazy for feeling like you are fighting a losing battle against a system that was never built for you to win. Let's start with the most obvious, glaring issue: the housing market. For previous generations, buying a home was the absolute bedrock of financial stability. It was the ultimate symbol of having made it. You got a stable job, you saved up for a few years, and you bought a house that cost roughly 3 to 4 times your annual salary. That was the math. It made sense. It was a realistic, achievable goal for a normal person working a normal, 40-hour-a-week job. You didn't need to be a millionaire. You just needed to be consistent. Now, let's look at the terrifying reality we have inherited. Today, in many major cities across the globe, the average home costs anywhere from 8 to 12 times the average annual salary, and in some metropolitan areas, it is significantly worse. We are looking at a market where massive corporate investment firms are buying up single-family homes by the thousands, paying entirely in cash, driving the prices up to artificial highs, and flipping them into permanent, high-priced rental properties. You are no longer competing against other families to buy a starter home. You are competing against billion-dollar algorithms and hedge funds that treat human shelter as nothing more than a speculative asset to be hoarded. When older generations say, "Just save your money and buy a house," they are speaking from a timeline that no longer exists. They are giving you advice for a board game that we are no longer playing. The ladder of property ownership has been systematically pulled up and set on fire, and young people are left stranded in a perpetual cycle of renting. We are forced to pay off someone else's mortgage while watching the dream of ownership slip further into the distance with every passing year. It is not an avocado toast problem. It is a systemic failure of unprecedented proportions that robs young people of basic security. And how exactly did we get here? How were we prepared for this brutal economy? We were sold the ultimate safety net: higher education. From the time we were children in elementary school, the message was drilled into our heads with absolute, unquestionable certainty. Go to college, get a degree. If you get a degree, you will be safe, you will be respected, and you will be financially secure. So, we did exactly what we were told. We signed on the dotted line at 18 years old, taking on tens of thousands of dollars in high-interest, unforgivable student loan debt, because we were promised by every adult in the room that the return on investment was guaranteed. But nobody warned us about the devastating effects of degree inflation. Because everyone was told to get a degree, the market became completely flooded. A bachelor's degree today holds the exact same weight and purchasing power that a high school diploma held 40 years ago. It is no longer a golden ticket to the middle class. It is merely the incredibly expensive cover charge just to get into the building. So you graduate, carrying the heavy financial weight of a small mortgage, and you step out into the job market. You apply for entry-level positions that inexplicably require 3 to 5 years of specialized experience. You finally land a job, but the salary hasn't kept pace with the explosive cost of living or inflation. You are making wages that look like they belong in the year 2010, but you are paying 2024 prices with a mountain of debt strapped to your back. You start your adult life 50 steps behind the starting line, financially crippled before you have even had the chance to build any real wealth. The prestigious institution that was supposed to save us became the very thing that trapped us. Because the traditional salaried job is no longer enough to survive, Our generation has been forced to adapt in the only way we can. We entered the era of the hustle. We were told by tech billionaires and venture capitalists that we should be grateful for the gig economy because it offers us flexibility and freedom. We can drive for ride-sharing apps, deliver groceries, or do freelance work on demand from our smartphones. But let's pull back the curtain and call the gig economy what it actually is: the systematic stripping away of worker protections, benefits, and long-term security. The freedom to work 80 hours a week across 3 different apps just to make rent is not freedom. It is absolute survival. It is a ruthless economy that demands constant, relentless production from its youth while offering absolutely zero safety net in return. There is no paid time off when you are sick. There is no health insurance when you get injured. There is no retirement matching for your future. You are entirely on your own, absorbing all of the physical and financial risk, while the platform algorithms absorb all of the massive profits. We have completely normalized a culture where having a side hustle is practically a requirement just to stay afloat. When did we collectively decide that working 40 hours a week should no longer be enough to afford a basic, comfortable life? We are romanticizing burnout, pretending that exhaustion is a badge of honor, when in reality, it is a desperate, panic-driven response to an economy that absolutely refuses to pay a living wage. This economic reality doesn't just drain our bank accounts, it is actively destroying our psychological well-being. We are living our entire lives in a state of chronic, low-grade financial trauma. When you are constantly operating in survival mode, your brain changes. You cannot plan for the future. You cannot dream about what you want to achieve in 5 years. You are trapped entirely in the immediate present, worrying about the next rent check, the next utility bill, the next random emergency expense that could wipe out your entire savings in a single afternoon. This underlying terror is exactly why so many young people are delaying or completely abandoning traditional life milestones. We are getting married much later. We are buying cars later. We are having fewer children or choosing to have no children at all. It is not because we hate families or tradition as some politicians claim. It is because we fundamentally cannot afford them. The financial calculus of bringing a child into a world where you can barely afford your own medical bills is terrifying. And the absolute worst part is the isolation that comes with it. Because we are constantly surrounded by the highly curated, impossibly wealthy highlight reels of influencers on social media, we internalize our systemic financial struggles as personal moral failures. We look at our screens and think, everyone else seems to be doing perfectly fine. Why am I failing? We don't realize that the vast majority of our peers are silently drowning in the exact same boat, too ashamed to talk about the fact that the math simply does not work for anyone. So, where does this leave us? Are we just destined to be the lost generation, perpetually crushed by the weight of a fundamentally broken system? If we continue to play by their rules and measure our worth by their metrics, the answer is yes. But the true power of our generation lies exactly in our disillusionment. Because we know the game is rigged, we have the opportunity to stop playing it. We have to completely redefine what success looks like for ourselves. We have to stop chasing the outdated, impossible milestones of the 1980s. If homeownership is a mathematical impossibility right now, you must stop tying your entire self-worth to a mortgage. If the corporate ladder is a dead end that demands your soul, stop sacrificing your precious mental health to climb it. We need to start prioritizing absolute autonomy over mindless accumulation. We need to focus on building strong, local communities, sharing resources, and finding deep joy in things that the economy cannot commodify, package, or tax. We are finally setting boundaries, demanding mental health support, and refusing to let our jobs dictate our identity. The economy might not support us, but that simply means we have to support each other. We have to build our own alternative structures, our own localized definitions of wealth, and our own independent paths to fulfillment. The system is entirely broken, but you are not. Do not let a rigged financial game convince you that your life lacks value. You are worth so much more than your economic output, and your worth is not tied to a bank account. You still have the power to define your own life. Subscribe for more life lessons, and see you in the next one.